or human being would get away with. He's amassed a $1.4 billion
That's the record that you guys won't let me.
Okay, you're absolutely correct about that. I remember that from 5th grade. Iceland is green, Greenland is ice. Just remember that, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States. Up next for us.
If you think Donald Trump gets judged by the same standard as every other politician, this exchange might make you think again. Before we dive into the full story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. In this clip, Batya Ungar-Sargon repeatedly tries to defend Trump as the CNN panel pushes back, and the reactions quickly turn into laughter and disbelief. The real question is simple. Is this political loyalty, or is Trump genuinely being held to a different standard? Watch the clip and stay until the end for my take.
President Trump filled his speech today at the World Economic Forum with his usual laundry list of false claims. You know, rigged elections, stopping 8 wars, and then he peppered in some fictional figures to just straight up strange things. Listen.
Domestic steel production is up by 300,000 tons a month. We've secured commitments for a record-breaking $18 trillion, more than $19 billion in fraud that was stolen by Somalian bandits. You know, they're pirates. Windmills all over the place. Destroy your land. Destroy your land. Without us, most of the countries don't even work. Without us, right now you'd all be speaking German and a little Japanese, perhaps.
As he speaks in a German-speaking part of Switzerland, but okay. Most notably, though, this was the flub that got a lot of attention.
I'm helping NATO, and I've until the last few days when I told them about Iceland, they loved me. They called me daddy, right, last time. They're not there for us on Iceland, that I can tell you. I mean, our stock market took the first dip yesterday because of Iceland. So Iceland's already cost us a lot of money.
Iceland. Well, here is Trump's arch nemesis, Gavin Newsom, and his take on it.
No other president, he's held to the curve. He's graded on a curve. I mean, it's really some jaw-dropping and remarkable statements that just, fly in the face of facts and evidence and common sense.
Tara Palmieri is here with us at the table. Tara, is he graded on a curve?
Oh, yeah, that is just like mental sludge. No one that goes to the World Economic Forum speaks like that, just off the cuff, blasting out just complete false stats and just insults everyone. I mean, it's like, this is a very refined crowd. I mean, it is the elites, but they come prepared. They're not just like riffing. I mean, this was just stream of consciousness, insanity. And we're supposed to be taken seriously?
TW, how do we explain this?
That's Donald Trump. That's the reason he got 77 million votes and was twice elected.
So if Joe Biden were to have done that and mistaken Greenland for Iceland,
Joe Biden
you guys would have been calling 25th Amendment. You guys would have been calling for his impeachment.
If he did his Trump impression?
If he gave word for word the same speech that Donald Trump gave today,
it would be the most
backbone
he has shown in front of a large international.
Men in white uniforms would have rushed the stage and put him into a straitjacket and put him in a padded room for the rest of the day.
Well, I'm not going to go there. Joe Biden's mental acuity and whatever.
But for real, TW, honestly.
Yeah.
The President of the United States, on 4 separate occasions, mixed up Greenland with Iceland. He made up statistics about all sorts of things. How is that not something that is of concern to everybody in this country?
Because this is the same speech he would have given last year, the year before that. This is his brand.
Because he's graded on a curve, exactly like Gavin Newsom said. The hypocrisy is astounding. Because if this was Joe Biden, exactly like the panel said, MAGA and Republicans would be losing their minds.
This is the type
he wanted to
leader
invade Greenland, and he called it Iceland. They looked at plans. They're talking about a framework for
going back to Joe Biden.
Iceland
he didn't have any
like that. These are serious conversations.
The disappointing part about the tenor of this conversation is that we laugh it off and we excuse it as just Donald Trump, or he's something he would have done before. The comparison I look at is that Donald Trump's mental acuity, even before he aged, was mediocre at best. It's somebody who came from a failed business background. It's somebody who believes that they were born, that they hit a home run, they were born on third base. His daddy gave him $1 million to start his business, right? This is somebody who's failed and failed and failed. The people around him, Lindsay Halligan can't even call herself a United States lawyer anymore. Mediocre at best. Dr. Oz is making decisions about CMS. Elon Musk has no idea about bureaucracy and government. Let me finish. Elon Musk has no idea about bureaucracy and government. You let him dissemble USAID. You're talking about RFK, the man who says he has a worm that ate his brain is now having a measles outbreak in South Carolina because he is over our health and human services. See, my biggest problem is that Barack Obama, for example, Barack Obama had to be editor-in-chief of the Harvard Law Review. Barack Obama had to be a United States senator. You all gave Barack Obama hell because he had a selfie stick and wore a brown suit. But yet and still, this man comes on stage in front of the world and he rambles and he misspeaks and he says this and he could have said that we solved the war between Wakanda and Namor, right? And the Republicans would have been like, oh, yeah, I'm glad we stopped that African country.
Can we just agree that men over 80 start to ramble and sound crazy, and that is why we also got a lot of slip-ups from Biden?
He's been rambling for a lot longer than that.
Let me just play. This is Ty Cobb, Trump's former lawyer, talking to Aaron Burnett tonight about what he saw today.
This is a man who is demented, and his narcissism has run amok. And I don't think there's anybody outside the boundaries of the United States who believes for a second that Trump is sane at this stage of the game. And those in the United States are merely in denial or so invested in him they can't accept what their lying eyes tell them.
And some of those people that he's talking about are also telling Americans not to see what they actually saw. Caroline Levitt flat out denied that he mixed up Greenland and Iceland. He said his written remarks referred to Greenland as a piece of ice because that's what's in it. You're the one mixing something up.
He was calling Greenland ice land.
Yeah,
land of...
Look, I don't know. I'm sorry, but like Caroline Levitt is straight up lying there. Is she?
This is exactly the reason why I say to be MAGA, to be a part of this administration, you have to be willing to accept that the entire thing is a humiliation ritual because you are consistently embarrassing yourself on a night-to-night daily basis.
She's expecting Americans to believe that the piece of paper said a piece of ice, and then Trump said Iceland 4 times?
It's funny, like, obviously everything you've said is correct. He messed up, he called it Iceland. I've never once heard him say the word Azerbaijan correctly, but that doesn't mean that he did not bring peace between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Like, the fact that he cannot be bothered to pronounce it correctly doesn't mean that the record isn't there. It doesn't mean that he didn't cut our deficit by 20% in 1 year. It doesn't mean that he didn't actually bring $18 trillion committed
it actually does mean,
no,
look,
it doesn't.
The White House's own, hold on. The White House's own website, Batya, says that major investment announcements during this Trump term was $9.6 trillion. So even his own administration is saying that is not true.
No, that's the website. But I mean, I can tell you who has made the commitment.
So you can't trust WhiteHouse.gov?
I don't know what to say.
I can tell you like, who the leaders are who have committed them. They are built into the actual trade deals, like South Korea, Saudi Arabia, the UAE. I'm literally reciting facts to you of things that he's done, and you're telling me like, I'm trying to recite the actual list of accomplishments.
This is not
for example,
this is not a debate about his accomplishments.
For example, banning banks from owning single-family
It's actually not a debate about his accomplishments. It's a debate about whether he can give a speech while actually telling the truth.
But that's
the question.
No, but listen, what Gavin Newsom said was that he gets graded on a curve. And I think there is no discussion that Donald Trump gets away with doing things and saying things that no other normal precedent or human being would get away with. He's amassed a $1.4 billion bridge.
That's the record that you guys won't let me.
Okay, you're absolutely correct about that. I remember that from 5th grade. Iceland is green, Greenland is ice. Just remember that, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States. Up next for us.
Honestly, This is where the whole exchange becomes difficult to ignore. The length Batya went to defend Donald Trump was remarkable, and the argument seemed to be, yes, maybe Trump is making more mistakes or showing signs of decline, but just look at his record. But hold on. Where was that same argument when Joe Biden was president? When Biden had verbal slip-ups or moments that raised questions about his age, the criticism was relentless. His political opponents, commentators, and plenty of media voices treated those moments as serious evidence that he wasn't fit for office. And to be fair, Biden's administration had its flaws, but it also had accomplishments. So why does the standard suddenly change when we're talking about Trump? That's really the point behind the phrase graded on a curve. Trump supporters don't necessarily have to defend every mistake he makes, but when an obvious error happens, there seems to be a tendency to minimize it, laugh it off, or immediately redirect the conversation toward his accomplishments. And here's the bigger issue. This isn't just about Trump supporters. Even some media commentators who were extremely critical of Biden don't always appear to bring that same intensity when discussing Trump's mistakes. If the standard is supposed to be consistent, then it has to be consistent for everyone. You can't spend years arguing that a president's age, mistakes, and mental sharpness matter, only to suddenly decide those things aren't important when your preferred candidate is the one being questioned. That's why this exchange is so revealing. The debate isn't simply about one mistake or one speech. It's about whether political loyalty has changed the standard by which politicians are judged. And that's something worth thinking about. What do you think? Was Trump genuinely being held to a different standard here? Or is there more to the argument? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed the breakdown, don't forget to like and subscribe.